Neon signs versus vacuum cleaner. Which would be easier to build in ancient Egypt?
If you were sent back to ancient Egypt and had to build a vacuum cleaner or a neon sign before you could come back, which would you choose? One is a glass tube filled with
Bro, first of all, before you actually think of this, I would personally choose neon sign because it's gonna be pretty simple, bro. But to build a vacuum cleaner, you have to carve a lot of stones. But for the neon sign, there are a lot of things that you would actually need. I chose neon sign, although I don't really know how to make it. But if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button.
with electrified gas. The other, an electric motor housed in a tiny box. Since you're not here and Fred is, we're gonna send him back in time instead of
Wait, how would you even make the electric motor?
you and
That
force
will be
him to
the
build each
problem.
of these common modern day gadgets in ancient Egypt before he can come back and enjoy another In-N-Out burger. So let's go see which process will steal more of Fred's sanity. He'll start with the neon flamingo, which is guaranteed to make any ancient party 2 times more funner. First up,
I thought it was time to dance, bro.
he's
I
gonna
was
need some
already, bro.
glass. Where were the ancient Egyptians on a glass making scale? I'd say right about here. Glass making was in its infancy. Now glass is made from sand, which the Egyptians were no strangers to.
Oh, wait! What the heck? How do you turn the sand to glasses? We have sand everywhere. That means we could have glass almost everywhere, bro.
But all sand is not created equal. The materials the
Is it-
Egyptians used made their glass opaque, cloudy, non-transparent, non-see-through. Too many impurities. But Fred can use their glass
Too many
making technique.
impurities.
He'll just have to include about 1800 years of advancements so the glass is at least somewhat
Renaissance.
transparent. In the
Wait, this just brought to my mind memories. I've learned about the Renaissance age, but right now I don't really know, bro.
15th century, glassmakers in Venice developed a clear type of glass known as cristallo by using quartz and
Cristallo.
potash. The potash is basically just filtered ash and does 2 important things: lowers the melting point of the sand and increases the durability of the final glass product. Fred's glass won't be crystal clear by today's standards.
Pretty sure some science guys out there already know about this thing. Let's skip, like, how we gonna skip to the main thing, bro? Some of y'all might be
Good enough
asking.
for a 3,000-year-old
A reaction.
handmade neon flamingo.
Reaction.
Isolating quartz
Reaction.
from the rest of the sand grains, just like everything else back then, has to be done manually. However, you can find bigger chunks of quartz around, plus, the shores of the Red Sea, right next to them, was blessed with more than its fair share of quartz per other sand particles. So, since we're not recreating the Louvre, it won't be too difficult to gather up the
Whoa.
amount of quartz needed. The melting point will still be extremely high though, so we'll have to create some bigger bellows than they were used to.
Wait, Chassis. If you actually want to create something like this, back in the ancient Egypt, I think you must have put up the fire for a very long time, like an extended period of time. And then when you put the fire, like days, in order to create glass. Because if the melting point is actually so high, bro, it's gonna take days. But for the other one, how is it gonna be crafted? I don't know, but let us see.
Back then, but not a huge deal. How do you get glass in the form of a hollow tube though, you ask? Well, that's where the
How?
Egyptians already have us covered. They used a core forming technique to make stuff like perfume bottles, where they basically formed dirt and clay into whatever shape they wanted, dipped it in molten glass, and once it solidified, they scraped the dirt and clay out. Fred will
Bro, wait. This makes me know that Africa was way ahead of the other part of the world, bro. Before any other inventions, there are plenty of things that were invented in Africa, bro. And most of the things that are seen now is just a environment, and there's no industry outside Africa that you go to that you won't see most of the best are Africans, bro. And some of them are like Israeli and the rest of the world, bro. But I love Africa.
make the tube in sections like that, then try to melt each section together with some added beeswax and resin to seal it nicely. It won't be pretty, but it'll have that artisanal, I made this while dodging scorpions charm. The color of the neon light will depend on the gas used. Argon, for example, is purple, helium is pinkish red, and neon is orangish yellow. Fred can't go with his favorite orangish yellow color though. He's got to be pragmatic about this. He wants the gas that's easiest to get and isn't electrically expensive, so he'll go with mercury vapor.
Mercury vapor. How do you get mercury vapor? This is what we want to learn, bro.
Which is a cool blue color. It's toxic, but Fred's from the future, so he's not gonna pull an Isaac Newton. To get the mercury vapor, Fred will heat up some cinnabar with iron in a steel container to trap the gas. Gas is inherently sluggish. It takes a lot to get it excited.
Hey, you wanna go for a walk?
Oh, I love this aspect.
Nah, I'm good. You wanna go to Raging Waters? Nah. You wanna go on a free 14-day all-inclusive?
Why would you say no for everything, bro? I thought you want to go out for a date, bro. You still say no? Everything, I'm like, what the heck? Just get in there and ball up.
Exclusive vacation to the Maldives? I'm just gonna take a nap. You know this is why we can't have nice things.
Oh, you lost. Now you're pursuing. What are you doing, bro?
Creating the voltage needed to get mercury vapor excited and ready to party will be tricky. Just FYI, if electricity is
what is FYI?
Hose, amps is the amount of water going through the hose, and voltage.
No, I thought that was AMPs.
Pressure of that water. So we need a lot of electric pressure. For mercury, that's about 1,000 volts. Theoretically, there's a few ways to do this.
That wasn't much.
0 of which are particularly easy. Creating a generator out of a water wheel, coil of wire, and weak natural magnet wouldn't.
Can that actually make like 1,000 volts, bro? That would be too small, but how can we generate 1,000 volts? This is what you want to tell us.
As the voltage mercury vapor requires. One workaround is Fred could create some voltaic pile batteries. Only problem is some in this case equals 1,000, which would take Fred's sanity all the way down to 0. Not good. Fred could also build a transformer, but this would require an immense amount of wire as he'd need many
Bro, Fred is done, bro. Why did I even accept to vote Giant Fred to make the neon sign?
Tens of thousands of turns of wire in a coil to get the necessary voltage. That ain't happening either. Fred will go with option 3, which is to build an electrostatic generator with a series of Leyden jars. Invented in 1745, they consist basically of just a glass jar with metal on the inside and outside of it. They were the earliest and most simple batteries, and the good news is they can store a lot of voltage. The downside is it's released all at once, because they're more like grenades instead of batteries.
No way. No way. Shut up. Down. You know, sometimes in the class you need to make exercise so that nobody gonna be dull, bro. Y'all not gonna leave this by now. So
batteries. Fred
it's better to stay in know while you're talking about
carousel with a gear-driven switch connecting one jar at a time to the neon tube. As the wheel turns, it'll discharge jars in sequence, creating a quick strobing effect that'll appear continuous to the eye, hopefully. Probably the most time-consuming part of all of this will be making all the wire, even though they had. Oh wait, hold up.
Wait. I love this part. Like, subscribe, put a notification down on it, and write in the comment section why you do not want to subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe, bro,
a couple seconds, fellas. We gotta wait for people to like and subscribe and stuff. Okay, so even though they had metal wire back then for things like jewelry, creating it in bulk and insulating it will be pretty difficult and time-consuming. But Fred's got Egyptian helpers, and as we know, the Egyptians never back down from a mega project.
Wait, why is Fred like that? Is Fred an American or a stranger from somewhere?
Now, Fred is a genius who tinkers with stuff like this in his spare time, all the time. So
Nikola Tesla. That means Nikola Tesla is literally Fred.
Could. It took him 6 months, and his sanity went from a respectable 88 down to 59.
No way. This is what we hate. And before it finishes, how many would it be, bro? Would it actually go up? But I know there can be a twist somewhere. Just watch.
After a little Mediterranean vacay, he's ready to start on the vacuum. For the vacuum, Fred could go the easy route and create a man-powered bellows suction-y gizmo. But we're not letting Fred off the hook that easy. We demand something more resembling a modern vacuum. He can make the house of the vacuum out of wood and beeswax, and he can use linen for the filter, and the easy parts are over. To create the suction, he needs a small fan made of bronze blades attached to an electric motor. Electric motors...
How is he gonna make the motor, bro? This was ancient Egypt, and nobody had that. But yeah, you are trying to tell us that. Oh, you listen.
Are mostly just wire, magnets, and some gears, but creating
gonna
in
tell us.
ancient times without precision tools and modern parts will require a significant portion of Fred's sanity. You need to gather the supplies to magnetize the electrons clockwise through wire of
Wait, yo, the rhythm, yeah. You need to gather the supplies to magnetize and create a front. No, I'm messing it up. I'm messing it up.
Davis eyes. He'll reuse the water wheel generator from the neon light with a few modifications. For the magnet at the generator, he'll need to find magnetite, which is a common mineral. But very rarely can you find it in the wild
Wild pyramid,
which is called lodestone for some reason. To get the best magnet possible.
Is it lodestone or IODESTON? Eddie, I thought it was Stone.
He'll probably have to create his own by pulling a Benjamin Franklin and
I might be wrong, bro.
Magnetite, then making Zeus angry, which should magnetize.
But if I'm wrong, what will you do, bro? What will you do, bro?
It into lodestone. Once he has that, an electric generator is simple enough in concept to build. A vacuum uses way less volts than a neon light, but a lot more amps. But a 6-foot diameter water wheel with thick copper wire should be able to deliver this. It'll be a bulky, heavy vacuum, but to someone who builds pyramids for a living, it's...
Wait, Charles, is it trying to tell us something? That creating a vacuum cleaner back then was way more easier than actually making a neon light?
Portable. And it won't win
or
any
neon
suction
sign
awards, but it'll be enough to get those imported Persian rugs a little cleaner. So which was more difficult? Well, the neon flamingo fried Fred's brain while the vacuum cleaner crushed his soul. The main factors being the carousel of Leyden jars and trapped vapor needed for the neon light. The vacuum only took his sanity down to 67 in a mere 5 months. So now you know which to choose next time someone's holding...
No way! Why would it be the one that looks easier is the one that is now the hardest? That's the same thing that happens in content creation. And y'all see y'all next time. Subscribe. This is crazy.